Nicole Hernandez Hammer, and I'm with the Union of Concerned Scientists.
Are you a scientist or you work with the organization?
I'm a biologist.
So we were out here last week with the March for Science. Can you talk about what you're seeing as a scientist and your concerns about the elimination of data, the cutting back or proposed cutbacks to research, and what impact that could have on public health?
We're seeing the rate of sea level rise double since 80 years ago. We've had 8 inches of sea level rise, and in low-lying areas like Miami or Galveston, we're seeing flooding occurring seasonally now. That's not related to any type of rain. We're seeing record heat temperatures set year after year after year. Today, here in Washington, D.C., we may be setting another record today. And we are not going to be able to track these changes as well if budgets are cut on programs that help us monitor the climate here on Earth. So we are really concerned about that. We're also really concerned about the climate change impacts that we can't avoid. So stronger storms, flooding because of sea level rise, increased temperatures are already affecting communities, and specifically communities of color. And that's why it's so important to be here today for science to say we've got your back when it comes to frontline communities and environmental justice. So I'm here both as a scientist, but I'm also here as a Latina and a member of a frontline community.
And how do we broaden the movement to include more of the people who are most going to be and are being most affected by climate change right now?
Well, as a person of color, I feel like this is our issue because we are historically have been affected by pollution. We are more vulnerable to the pollution that is emitted by coal-fired plants, and now that it's causing climate change, we are more vulnerable to those impacts. So we're kind of at the beginning and at the end of the damage of climate change, and so it's an issue that affects us most, and that we are connecting with other groups that are working on it. But we really feel like it's an issue that is about us.
So there's FEMA, but I understand that Trump has proposed, or Congress has proposed, cutting back funds for adaptation and mitigation. Is that correct? And is that of a big concern?
Yeah, I mean, communities are really concerned. Right now, we don't have enough resources to be able to adapt to what we have now. And we know that there's a certain amount of climate change that's just baked in that we're not going to be able to avoid. And we're going to see significant impacts continue to occur over the next 30 years and beyond that if we do nothing. And so if we don't have the resources to begin to make our communities more resilient, we are setting ourselves up for future disasters worse than we've even seen in the past.
To shift to solutions, people are talking about doing solutions that we can bring about quickly and within communities, different communities themselves. Say reforestation, transitioning to renewable energy that are community-based projects. Are you aware of those things already happening?
Yes, and a lot of that is happening in the communities that I'm talking about, communities of color, where we're looking at becoming more energy efficient, but we're also adapting to sea level rise by doing education and outreach and raising roads and putting in pumps and making sure that what's happening in the high-end places like in New York and in Miami are also happening in communities that don't have the same resources.
Just to shift slightly, I know that the Union of Concerned Sciences was subpoenaed by Lamar Smith, head of the Science, Space, and Technology Committee, and I'm just wondering what's happening with that case, and Union of Concerned Scientists, I know, are still engaged in this.
Well, at my level, I focus mostly on communities of color, and so I'm kind of more engaged on that, but our president is very involved in that, and I know we're not afraid because the truth is on our side.
Anything you want to add that I might have missed?
I think you've covered a lot.
Okay. Well, thank you. Okay. Thank you. And we have your information?
Okay.